For more than 20 years, Ethel lived a life filled with hardship and sacrifice. After losing her husband at a young age, she was left alone to raise her only son, Ethan. Life was cruel to her, but Ethel never allowed herself to give up. Every single day, before sunrise, she would wake up and prepare ingredients for her small food stall. From morning until late at night, she stood behind that modest roadside restaurant, cooking and serving customers with tired hands and aching feet. The work was exhausting, but every drop of sweat, every sleepless night, and every moment of pain had only one purpose: to give Ethan a better life. Ethel spent over 20 years sacrificing everything for her son. She paid for his education, his medical bills, and every living expense with money earned through endless labor. Even when she was sick, she refused to rest. To Ethel, as long as Ethan could study, grow, and build a successful future, every hardship was worth it. She believed one day her son would understand how deeply she loved him, and eventually her sacrifices paid off. Ethan graduated with excellent results, built a successful career, and eventually became a wealthy businessman. He lived in luxury, wore expensive suits, drove luxury cars, and moved among the elite. To outsiders, Ethan was the perfect example of success. But somewhere along the way, success changed him. The higher Ethan climbed, the more ashamed he became of his humble beginnings. He began to see his poor childhood and his mother's simple life as something embarrassing. Instead of feeling proud of Ethel's sacrifices, he started seeing her as a reminder of a past he desperately wanted to erase. One day, Ethel prepared Ethan's favorite homemade dishes and brought them to his office, hoping to surprise him and spend some time with her son. She arrived wearing simple clothes, carrying food containers with a warm smile on her face. But what happened next shattered her heart. In front of Ethan's employees and business partners, Ethan's expression instantly changed when he saw her. Instead of welcoming her, he looked embarrassed and angry. When someone asked who she was, Ethan coldly denied knowing her. He claimed Ethel was just a random woman causing trouble. Then, without hesitation, he ordered security to remove her from the building. Ethel stood there frozen in shock, unable to believe what she had just heard. Her own son had publicly rejected her, as if she meant nothing. Tears filled her eyes as security escorted her out. But the cruelty didn't stop there. Ethan had also lied to his fiancée, Anna. He told Anna that his mother had died many years ago. He wanted Anna and her wealthy family to believe he came from a respectable background, with no shameful past. To Ethan, hiding his mother was easier than admitting the truth. But fate had other plans. One day, Anna happened to stop at a small food stall and unknowingly met Ethel. She had no idea this kind and gentle woman was Ethan's mother. During their conversation, Anna felt strangely drawn to Ethel's warmth and sincerity. Over time, she visited the food stall more often and slowly learned about Ethel's life story. Ethel spoke lovingly about her son, proudly sharing stories about how hard he had worked to become successful. She talked about the years she spent sacrificing everything to raise him after her husband passed away. The more Anna listened, the more disturbed she became. Piece by piece, she realized the heartbreaking truth. Ethan had lied to her. His mother was alive. Not only that, he had deliberately abandoned and denied the woman who had sacrificed everything for him. Anna felt betrayed and disgusted. She could not understand how a man could reject the very person who gave him life. But she remained silent, waiting for the right moment. That moment came on Ethan and Anna's wedding day. The wedding was extravagant, filled with luxury, elegance, and hundreds of guests from both families. It was meant to be the happiest day of Ethan's life. But Ethan had no idea that truth was about to destroy everything. In a cruel twist of fate, Ethel had been hired as one of the chefs preparing food for the wedding banquet. She was present at her own son's wedding, not as a mother, but merely as a worker in the kitchen. She had never even been invited as family. As the ceremony began and everyone focused on the bride and groom, Anna suddenly stepped forward and asked for the microphone. The entire room fell silent. Anna looked directly at Ethan with cold disappointment in her eyes. Then, in front of both families and every guest present, she revealed the truth. She exposed Ethan's lies. She told everyone that Ethel was alive. She told them about the years of sacrifice, the endless suffering, and the humiliating moment when Ethan denied his own mother in public. Gasps filled the room as shock spread through the audience. Ethan stood frozen, his face turned pale. Anna's voice remained calm, but filled with pain. She said she could never marry a man who was willing to abandon the woman who gave him everything simply to protect his pride and image. She declared the wedding cancelled. Then she walked away, leaving Ethan standing alone in humiliation. That moment shattered Ethan completely. For the first time in years, he was forced to confront the truth about what he had become. He saw himself clearly, not as a successful businessman, but as a selfish man blinded by pride and status. He finally understood the pain he had caused his mother. Filled with guilt and regret, Ethan rushed to find Ethel and begged for forgiveness. He cried and apologized over and over, admitting he had failed as a son. Ethel looked at him with tears in her eyes. As a mother, she still loved her son deeply. She forgave him because a mother's love rarely disappears. But she also told him something painful. Forgiveness could be given, but broken trust takes time to heal. Those words cut deeper than anything else. Soon after, tragedy struck again. Ethel collapsed from exhaustion and years of overwork. She was rushed to the hospital unconscious. Seeing his mother lying weak and fragile in that hospital bed broke Ethan's heart. For the first time, he truly understood how much time he had wasted. Ethan stayed by her side every single day. He personally cared for her, fed her, and made sure she never felt alone. He became determined to make up for every year he had neglected her. Slowly, Ethel recovered. Once she was healthy again, Ethan made a life-changing decision. He bought Ethel a beautiful new home, so she would never have to struggle again. He also invested in building a proper restaurant for her, clean, spacious, and fully equipped, so she could continue doing what she loved in comfort and dignity. This time, Ethel was no longer cooking to survive. She was cooking because it was her passion. Ethan changed completely after that. He spent more time helping his mother at the restaurant. He learned humility, gratitude, and the true meaning of family. The arrogant businessman who once cared only about status had disappeared. In his place was a man who finally understood what truly mattered. Over time, Anna quietly watched Ethan's transformation. She saw the sincerity in his actions, the regret in his heart, and the effort he made every day to become a better person. This was no longer the same Ethan she had walked away from. One evening, Ethan stood before Anna with genuine humility. There was no pride left in his voice, only honesty. He apologized sincerely and asked her for one final chance. Not to erase the past, but to prove that people can change when they truly understand their mistakes. Ethan told Anna he wanted to rebuild everything from the beginning, this time with truth, humility, and love. Anna looked at him silently. For the first time in a long while, she saw not the arrogant businessman, but the kind-hearted man hidden beneath years of pride. And perhaps, just perhaps, this time, Ethan was finally worthy of a second chance.